Good evening, brothers and sisters. Uh, this is your brother Rudolph Kinga. I'm asking you guys, please, to subscribe on my TV show, which is R.K.I. TV show. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the war crisis on Ukraine and Russia. I'm not gonna take much time on discussion about it. I'm just gonna go straight on. I think leaders of the world, you have to come to a point where you have to have a compromising. You cannot lead us like you're leading animals or sheep. We are human beings. So what is happening now? What is happening now in Ukraine should teach us a lesson, should teach you leaders a lesson. Now just imagine the president of Ukraine is asking the civilians, to join forces in the army. As I hear from the source on the information of this news, that from the age of 18 until 60, you have to join forces to defend the country. So this becomes like an obligation now. It's no longer a choice, it's an obligation. There can be some who decide by their own choices to do so, but I don't think 100% of those people decide to join forces. And I believe that when the leaders start digging in trouble with other countries or other leaders, not having a good compromising, you cannot take your citizen and put their life in risk for the sake of protecting the country. I think the soldiers and law enforcement and police are there, and they've been trained for that. Yeah, I believe that it's a way of showing as a citizenship how much you can stand for your country, for your land. But I don't think that should be a solution. The Ukrainian president, if I was the president, I will save my civilians. I will ask them to cross the border, and then I'll face the war with my army as a commander-in-chief and the law enforcement. So when you start to involve even the civilians in the war like this, this is unbelievable. Because those civilians are not trained for those kind of situation. This is a suicide. This is a suicide. It's a suicide. Save the civilians. Save your citizens. Protect the country with the soldiers. The people who are trained for that, the people who engage their life for that. What kind of effort civilians can do in a logistic war? What kind of effort? Because this is just increasing numbers who cannot do much. It's not fair. It's not fair. I know the Russians are wrong to attack Ukraine, but in the other side, the president of Ukraine shouldn't be putting his people's life in danger just to increase the number for fighting against the Russians, because the Russians are not sending civilians. The Russians are sending soldiers. And those soldiers are trained for the war. They are trained to kill. We have to get this right. We have to, what is, now, I don't know. I don't know how things works in politics. I don't know. But on my side, I feel for the civilians. I feel for the population, the people who were not even aimed to be in that position. Even if they want to join by themselves, but on the other side also, giving everybody who's remaining in the country, women and men who are not trained to hold a gun, to keep a gun, to use a gun. After the war, what will become Ukraine? I'm sure we should ask those questions, because it's going to be difficult to collect back those guns they have given to civilians. Then at the end of the day, after the war, there will be a lot of groups of rebellions will be starting aggressing and doing so and so bad things in the city. Then the country will be insecure. I think the Minister of Defense should think about that. Because once they will get used to a gun, after the war with Russia, what will become those civilians? Are they going to join the army? Or are they going to go back to their normal life? Because no matter what, the war will end. It can be today or tomorrow, but it's going to happen. So let's think about that. Let's think about that and make a concern. The World Organization, human rights. Why do you have to let the presidential, the ministers and the president of Ukraine to arm civilians? Why? They're not going to do much. No matter what, they're not going to do much. It's just going to increase more casualty because they are not soldiers. Even if they create the cocktail of Molotov. But at the end of the day, the army was supposed to protect those people. They were supposed to take them to a safe place, then they can face the enemy, as they say. Russia is the enemy. They could face them as trained people. as uniformed people. On this point, I really cannot give my consent for the civilians to fight. I've got experience. I come from a country where there was a war. There was a war. There were some militias, they give them guns and they start to fight, and until after the war ended, then it became a disaster. It became a disaster. The insecurity in the country. There were some group of people now were making law in their own hands. House breaking, armed robbery, so and so. Because those people were civilians who has been giving guns to fight. And then at the end of the day, when that government took over, it was an issue for that government to implement peace in the country. It took a long time. They have to kill their own boys to send a message. It's very important. It's really very important to look at this issue. A soldier is someone who signed a contract to defend, to protect the country and its citizens. But when now the government start to involve the civilians in a war like this, it's not a tribal war. This is a war we're talking about. This is a war. This war is for professional people who are made for that, not the civilians. It's on my side, it's not making sense. It's just causing more casualty. It's causing more casualty. What would become those women who crossed the border, left their husband, their children to fight? It's causing more pain for them because they know that their children, their husband were not trained to be soldiers, to fight, to be on the battlefield. We have to understand this. And then the president of Ukraine and the Russian government, they must sit and compromise something. And I'm also trying to give my concern, my advice to the UN that we all have to understand one thing. A strong regime, a strong country doesn't give up easily. Giving him more sanctions is not really a solution. It's an impact, but it's not a solution. Because it's going to make him more upset. It's going to make them more upset. At the end of the day, you know what they will say? They will think, they will say, okay, in that case, we have nothing to lose anymore. We already lost, so we cannot back off anymore. Let's carry on. We have to look at all those things. Russia is a big country fighting, not even fighting. Because if you compare Russia and Ukraine, it's not a fight. It's an aggression. It's a big time intimidation. So now the UK government, the US government, the UN government, French or wherever, Germany, they have to sit down again. Make a concern about what Putin wants. I'm not saying that he should get everything he wants, but make a concern about it. Because at the end of the day, Russia will not back off easily. So the more arms you putting or you sending to Ukraine is making him more upset. You leaders, you have to be more wise about this, because for now you are looking at it as a small issue, giving sanction and all this, but every single day is getting worse. And what next gonna happen? Does the world have to pay a price for your leadership, you leaders of the world? Do we have to pay a price for you, for voting you, for putting you in that position? For not taking a quick solution? For not resolving a situation as soon as possible? Because the more you carry on, the more it gets worse. And it's gonna carry on and on. Now just imagine if we get to the point where he get out of control, this situation get out of control, then it become a nuclear war. Because Russia, as I know on my knowledge, will not just back off because they're giving him sanction. It's going to make them more aggressive. Because the more sanction you're giving him, the more upset he's getting. I mean, when I say he, is the Russians. Because want it or not, President Putin cannot take this kind of decision by himself. I'm sure there was a conference, there was a meeting, there was a big talk amongst the Russian government and some of the citizens. Because as we know, Russia has this mentality of secretive. They don't expose their idea to the world. Because as you see, their media is very much controlled. So they don't, you cannot get information easily in Russia, especially when it comes to a state measure or a state decision. So we have to think about that. Let's not just stand on the TV and start speaking on the radio or wherever, take a microphone and start saying, we're giving them sanction, we're blocking this, we block. What is he gonna do at this moment while people are dying that side? And military intervention will mess up everything. On the other side, if the Americans are avoiding this, I think it's a wise decision. Because the moment they will get involved, it's not going to be only Russia. Because Russia has got his friends also, his very close friends, who can sacrifice for him, for the Russian nations. You know, so we have to understand that Russia has got, you know, aliens who are very much in the same mind with them, and maybe they are just waiting which country will start to join forces so then they can get involved. We have to think of all those things. Let's not, please, leaders, do not just wake up in the morning and start taking decisions. Find a way, find another way. Giving sanction. Yes, it's fine. The Russian will suffer, but not only the Russian. What about the people who have business with them? Import-export. What is going to happen to that? The gas in Europe, the gas in Germany. What's going to happen? Because for now, everybody's saying, yeah, we do this. Think of the citizens also. When you're blocking the activity of the Russians bank, in the other side is not a human right, because it's not all the Russians citizens who are in who are in the favor of this war. You have to think also about the Russian citizens, because in Russia it's not the citizens who are involved, is not the civilians who are involved, it's the army which is involved in this war. There's a difference between the Russian army fighting with the Ukraine people and the Ukraine government putting involved the civilians is different, because what we see in Russia is different. In Russia, we see the soldiers going to war, not the civilians. So we have to, you leaders, you have to sit and think about this. You cannot torture innocent people because of the decision for some other people. Where is this human right? Because even in the media, we can see that there's some Russians who are not happy about this war. So are they going to pay the price also for that? Or is it just you want to ruin the life of all Russian citizens, even innocent ones? We have to think about this. It's not everybody in Russia who are happy about this war. So when you do those sanctions, when you seize the account, you seize the bank, the Russian bank, you are destroying also the innocent people in Russia. This is what we call dictator. You dictating the whole country. For what? When we say that there's a human right, it's how you call it again, democracy. in the democracy world, you leaders, you were not supposed to to uh, to react like that. You know Putin's government, you know Putin's administration. Deal with them, but not with the innocent people. This is wrong. This is really wrong. There's so many things did happen in this world. Many countries have done wrong to other countries. Many countries have destroyed other countries' government, kill president, and destroy everything. Leave the country in chaos. They never get sanctioned like this. Those leaders never been even in the martial court. What is the problem you have with Russia, which can make Putin administration group for the whole world to hurt the Russian people, even the innocent one? For me, I see it's unfair, it's unjudgment. It's unjudgment. Because I'm a criminal, I have done something wrong, and then you have to arrest everybody because I'm the one who's guilty, and you have to arrest everybody. It doesn't work that way in the democracy world. You are doing good, but not in this way. There's some people who doesn't even have anything to do with Putin politics, who are Russians. Then you want them to pay the price. And then you call it democracy, and you call it human right. This war is against the president of Ukraine and his government. So, this is Putin administration and Ukraine administration war. As far as I see it. So why to hit all Russians? Why? You leaders, you know their names. You leaders, you know each other's. If you trace it, you will know where their account are, in which countries. Seize them, but not the whole Russia. It's not the whole Russians who are fighting with Ukraine. For the UN or the rest of the world to condemn the Russians, citizens, civilians. This is how the world, is this how you lead us? This is wrong. This is wrong. It's just example. Is it because my father is a criminal, then us children also are criminals? For which offense? The Russians didn't choose to be Russians. It just happened. It's their land of birth. So you cannot put them in that position because of Putin's administration behavior. What you're doing is wrong. Now, in this point, who's going to judge you? You see, once again, somehow, you are proving to us, you leaders, how you can mislead us, how you can create conflict amongst people in different countries. In a wise way, you leaders have to think twice when you're taking these decisions. You sit there, you take decisions, including innocent people, and you call it human right. For me, it's not making sense. It's really not making sense. How can I pay a price for a crime I didn't commit just because we live in the same house? How? What is happening in Ukraine is painful. But the decision you're taking against the Russian people is wrong. And you see what you're doing. You're going to make the Ukrainian and the Russian people enemies for life. Because an innocent person who doesn't have anything to do with politics or with Russians government and Ukraine government will not tolerate to welcome a Ukrainian person, citizens, because of the decision you took. He has lost his business, he has lost his income, his import-export because of a conflict for two people. Two presidents don't like one another, each other, then everybody must pay the price for it. And I remember when Putin was speaking about this attack, he did say that he's not there for the civilians. He wants to catch the whole administration for the Ukrainian presidents. Politics, I think, it's a game for people who don't have a heart. You politicians, what you are doing to us, it's showing that you do not care about us. Most of the decision you take it for yourself, not for us. You are misleading this world. You are destroying this world with your decisions. What if it can become a nuclear war? Who's going to win this war? Who's going to win it? Something is wrong with you leaders. Something is really wrong with you leaders. You have to talk to yourself, to listen to yourself. Before you do things, ask for opinions. Seek for wisdom. It's very important. It's really, really very important. All you do is just distraction, distraction, and distraction, you politicians. All you do is just destroying, terrorizing people. That's all you do, politicians. I'm happy that I never even think one day of becoming a politician, because I think being a politician is become a killer. You sit there, you take a rough decision about us. Destroying us, destroying cities, destroying countries, creating more guns to fight against who? We don't know. Please, leaders, make more effort to meet again Mr. Putin, Mr. President Putin and the President of Ukraine, so that there can be a solution on this situation. This is my concern and my advice to you leaders. Please guys, subscribe so that we can have more view and start doing live. Thank you for subscribing if you did, and then see you in the next video. Thank you. Peace to the world.